Okay, while this is not a public comment, we have a former mayor here that really wants to say something. So, Mr. Shade, could you come forward, please? Wait to sit down and turn the microphone on.
Michael Shade, 236 West Central Avenue, Delaware, Ohio. I hope a lot of people listened to your special work session and heard the comments. I was never so shocked as a taxpayer in this community when this young lady presented the numbers and the potential shortfall we were going to have in this city. And it has consumed me that, you know, I've told many of you, my first budget, we didn't even have enough money for fire hose. When we had to cut the first year, we didn't buy any new police vehicles. We bought no new fire trucks. We bought nothing. And while that sounds okay, well, maybe we could go another year. At the end of the year, you should have seen our cost for repairs, both for the fire equipment, for the police, the cruisers. You were running them basically 24 hours a day. And that is not a good thing. One of the things that I had some time this weekend because I was driving back and forth from New York to see my granddaughter, and I started going through this. I think you have to be back on the ballot, number one. I don't think you have any choice but to do that. I think, realistically, I think this was a good beginning. And you may not want to even talk about this, but I think you absolutely have to have, for at least the next 2 years, you're going to have to detail very deep and meaningful cuts to services. You can't cover these losses with just a hope and a prayer. Plus, you have a constitutional duty to balance the budget every single year. There's no escaping that. So, I learned in my time sitting on council that there is the consumer price index, and that's pretty staggering for every person that lives in the United States today, because we're now going back up in inflation. We're not going down. The most important thing is that there's the cost of government, and it is mind-boggling. And start tracking this stuff. I asked the police chief earlier when you guys were in executive session one night. I said, Chief, what does a cruiser cost today? Well, when I went on city council, a new cruiser, we bought them at the end of my second year, $2,200, fully decked out state contract. Of course, we didn't have computers and all the technology we have today. In 1993, when I left office, we were at $22,500 per cruiser, stripped. No beacons, decals, nothing. No arsenal, no. We really weren't even into computers yet then. So there are those costs. Same thing with fire equipment. Pumper trucks. First pumper truck we bought in, I think it was in '83, was $75,000. In '93, that truck was $300,000. When we bought our first platform truck for the city of Delaware, it was $300,000. The second one we bought was over $1 million. So I don't think you can dodge the bullet on this without having meaningful cuts. And is that going to touch personnel? I hate to tell you the bad news, yes, because 85% of the business that you do is providing police officers, firefighters, And you have to make those hard choices. We talk about Parks and Rec. Well, maybe those parks don't get mowed as often. Maybe we have to cut back other things. I'll leave that to your decisions. You're the elected people to serve this community. I am a firm believer, and Tom and I have had this conversation on a few occasions, when the first proposal a number of years ago was 0.15. And it wasn't for the recreation thing. It was just to add money to the revenues. And I said, Tom, we're going to support it, but not enough. And what I'm here to say to you tonight is let's stop playing games. 0.65 is what this needs to be. We need to be as high as the highest suburb in Columbus. You cannot run a full-service city. There are two full-service cities in Central Ohio, us and Columbus. And you cannot avoid this kind of conversation. I think what was really amazing in 1993, I looked at the state budget, federal budget, and our local budget. And at that time, the budget per person for the city of Delaware was $765. The state of Ohio was about $1,150, and it was over $10,000 per person for government, for the general fund budget of the United States. I did that again. The federal, per person, if you have a family of 4, you're close to $100,000 a year. That's $24,310.68. When you look at the state of Ohio, now they've cut a lot of some of the tax benefits they used to give us, but they went from $1,000 to $8,060.65 for every man, woman, and child in this state. What was amazing to me, and it told me two things. In 1993, $765. Because of the growth, because of the new taxpayers that we brought into this community, your 2024 budget amounted to $809.48. Now, we've increased charges, we have impact fees. Most of the people in this community never pay an impact fee. All the new development does. So I think that, we've really got to be serious about this. And we've got to convince the people, all taxpayers, we are in a world of hurt. And it's not about recrimination. I think the one thing that hurt me was there was no discussion of it. When we asked for 0.35, there was no discussion of it. I think that we have to reach down, grab our boots, and say, hey, we're getting into the mud, and we're going to do what we have to do. I don't want to see a single city employee laid off. That would be my ultimate goal. But, we ask these young people, young firefighters, young police officers, we ask other people from all over the country, our new economic development officer. We ask these people to come here, settle with their families, raise their families, and yet, we're having some tough times and we're going to cut you loose. I just think that we've got so many issues that we have to do. And I think this tax levy, and you have to forgive me because I don't know about the outside income because I've only worked here in Delaware and now next year I'll be starting my 45th year. But if you work outside the city of Delaware, hopefully we're not giving a tax credit to somebody that works in a township. Because they're not paying income taxes.
She says, no, we're not.
I hope so, and I hope we track that. I think, and what you basically have is you have an 8-hour shift. You have 24 hours in a day, that's 1/3. You know, they can choose to live in the suburbs of Columbus, but I guarantee you, their housing is even gonna be higher, their costs are gonna be higher, and for me, they're not gonna have the sense of community that you get with a town like Delaware.
Mr. Shade, I have to ask, are you signing up then to be the issue advocacy committee chair?
No.
Oh, I thought that's where you're going. I'm sorry.
I think what we have to have are more young people stepping to the plate and understanding. You young people on council, that's what, you know, we need to convince.
I've done it.
And you gotta sell it.
That's what you mean.
You gotta sell it. If we don't sell it, we'll never get it passed. And we gotta make sure that we're asking for the proper amount. So we're not coming back, and none of this stuff about non-permanent. That is the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life.
About non-what? I didn't hear you.
Making anything non-permanent.
Oh.
If you're gonna ask, let's get it, and I think the proof's in the pudding that it has been done in an efficient way. Are there things that I would object to? Yeah, about some things in the budget, if I really got down into it. But, you know, they're probably saying things about everybody that sits around this table. But
Sir, what is your home address?
what is my home address?
Yes.
I live out in the apartment, and I also have my permanent address is in Lakeside, Marblehead, Ohio.
Right. Because I looked you up on Delaware County elections and you're not listed in
That's
Delaware
right.
County.
That's right.
How many years did you serve on city council or as mayor?
I served 8 years on city council and 6 of those as mayor,
And what was your last year of service?
1993.
Thank you very much for your service. When you come before council over the past 5 months when I've been serving on council, who are you representing?
Developers,
Right. How many of your developers have received TIFs from the city for their developments?
one, and it's not been recently.
Okay. The hypocrisy and the audacity of you to sit there and yell at us when we are in the trenches
I'm
and
not
we are
trying to yell
doing.
at you, ma'am.
Sir,
I'm not trying to yell at you.
The audacity and the hypocrisy of you sitting there yelling at us when we are in the trenches doing the work of cleaning up the mess your generation and the last 25 years has created, I do not appreciate it.
Well, ma'am.
I would not have invited you up here, and I kindly invite you to take your 15 minutes you've just taken and return to the audience.
I will say this to you, that growth and development that I worked hard to get into this community kept that rate at $809.
How many
if-
employers did you recruit into the community that employ more than 5,000 employees?
How many have I done?
When you were in office, how many employers did you recruit into the community that employ more
Well-
than 5,000 employees?
We actually lost, after I left office, Ranco.
How many employers did you recruit into the community
I
that
think this
employ
is
more than
not- this is
500?
not
No,
what you came up
I'm sorry, ma'am. With the point I'm trying to make is, if we did not have this development, the cost per household, per taxpayer, would not be $809 a person. It would be $1,891.
Nobody is disputing that, but we are trying to fix the problem.
And I'm for fixing it too, ma'am.
Then be part of the solution and not part of the problem ongoing. So please advocate for our constituents and not for developers going forward, or you're a hypocrite.
No, I will do anything that
right.
helps this city grow. Anything that helps this city grow. If you don't grow this city, you're going to have.
Madam Mayor, point of order. I thought public comments only got 3 minutes.
I asked him to come forward, so thank you, Mike. All right, let's move on to finance report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'll start off with the impact